All right, there we go. How's that? You guys hear me now? All right, you guys should be able to hear me now. Hold on. I'm going to do a refresh on the autoplay. All right, there you go. Okay. All right, cool. We are in there. All right. So, I guess I can start over now. Woohoo! That is woohoo! All right. Sweet. Um what I was saying was scripting is an interesting way of adding complexity to your builds and to your parcels. So if you are, for instance, what I'm interested in is building this guy out. I want to build a salesperson, and that's kind of what this guy is. So you'll notice that as I turn, he sort of pays attention to where and orients himself to where I'm at in the room. I don't know. Can you guys see that? And so it's the same thing with this character upstairs. So this character upstairs, I'm actually probably, yeah, let me do a quick refresh because it's acting a little weird. Yeah, it's starting to slow down. Let me do a quick refresh, you guys. Okay, cool. All right, there we go. Yeah, I got to figure out what's hanging up. I got to figure out what's hanging up my computer, you guys. I think it's something in the build. CV Minigames is supposed to be here. I don't know where he's at. But we're going to do a quick primer and we're going to show you guys this salesperson. Again, you can see as I move around, he sort of orients himself towards me. All right. And so, wow, this is really, really boring without any music. Give me 1 second. All right, cool. Maybe is that a little bit better? Yeah. All right. So, what's super cool about these properties is that you can use scripting inside of the different features that you can input into a space or also into your parcel, right? So what I've done is I've been, like I said, I'm trying to build a salesperson that interacts with you as you move around inside the parcel. So when I get in his personal space, you'll see it says click the logo to play the game, and it causes me to emote some emojis, right? And so that happens because of some functions that are happening in the scripting, and I'm using the trigger of these cats down here. So first off, let's go ahead and show you guys the Crypto Voxels wiki. So if you guys come to the scripting part of the Crypto Voxels wiki, and the Crypto Voxels wiki is just wiki.cryptovoxels.com. And what it does is gives you a little bit of information on the scripting system, and these are all the features. We were going through some of them last Wednesday when we were building out one of the spaces. You can use these different features. They have a scripting part that allows you to call to them and also to cause them to come into effect. So I'll give you guys an example. So some of the ones that we use for the salesperson is the sign or rich text. I think we use rich text, and then of course we use the small Vox model for the word bubble, and then we use some other Vox models for the cats. And so I'll show you guys exactly how that works. So first off, if you click on the cat, you'll see that when you have a Vox model selected, the music is loud. I'll turn it down. Hold on one second. All right, how's that? Hopefully that's a little better. Is that better? All right, cool. So you'll notice. Hold on, let me make sure there's nobody sitting in club deck. Amy, K-Bot, come on up to the stage. I was just making sure you guys were here. I'll make you a moderator, Amy. Thank you, darling. All right, so when you click on a yeah, there we go. Thank you, Lettuce. When you click on a feature that you have included in your parcel or in your space, what you'll notice is over here there's a tab that opens up that allows you to edit the feature. And I think this is actually going to change relatively soon. They're coming out with a new editing model, but for right now, this is how you use it. So you'll notice that in the feature, you have your position, your scale, your rotation, all of that's fine, your URL, and how you establish the URL. So all of these things are making references to assets that are online, being stored somewhere online. So that's what the URL is, and you can duplicate that just by copying the URL. The animation, of course, I think we went over that last time. And so this is what's important, the feature ID. So you can make each one of these features unique by giving it its own ID that you can then reference with your code. Okay? So you want to make sure that you give it if you're going to offset it or you're going to, isolate it with a name or make it unique with a name, you want to make sure you give it a unique name. You also want to use no spaces and camel case if you can help it. And camel case is where the first letter of a name is lowercase. And then if you end up using multiple words inside of your name, when you start a new word, you start with a capital letter. So an example of camel case would be if I named this cat, let's say camel and then case. You see how I started with a capital C? Yeah, so that's typical. That's typical sort of syntax when you're naming. When you're adding names to different features or variables or anything like that, right? So the way this cat works is, I can't give you the best heads up on scripting. I was hoping that CVMINIGAMES was going to be able to do that for me. But I can show you guys how I made this stuff work. And that's what I'm going to do. So, and I'm hoping to also be able to bring in people like Mental, who has said that he's got some programming chops, so we want to absolutely take advantage of that, and also make sure you guys get the best. Oh, yeah, I gotta open it up. That's not what I wanted. Okay, so I wanted this to actually trigger when you get into his personal space, and so what I did was, I don't know if I did this in the code or if I did this by hand, but you can set the proximity trigger, right? So you can set the Vox model to be a trigger by clicking on this radio button, and then you can set the proximity with this slider. But I think I did it programmatically. So as you go, like one of the things that helps me when I'm coding, if I wanted to know whether or not I was getting in the personal space, so I had to, make a sound whenever it was triggered. You can use this little checkbox as well to make a sound whenever you trigger. So here's the code right here. So you can see I set a variable, but I don't think I used it. I used the count variable, but not the angry variable. The idea was to have him get angry once you get into a space a certain amount of times, but I don't think I used the variable. So I set the count to 0, and then I made a call to this feature itself by calling to the feature and then set proximity to trigger. And so I set the event, the proximity to trigger was 3.5, and you can see that that's also delineated here where it says the current is 3.5. So once I get 3.5, is that meters? Yeah, I guess that's meters. If we look at each one of these blocks as a meter, when I get 3.5 meters, when I get within 3.5 meters of his personal space, then it's saying tell this feature to on trigger, and this E means event. So on a feature on trigger, implement this event function, right? Which is, first off, we want to write in the console triggered. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have opened the console. So if you guys hit F12, you'll open up the console, and what you'll notice here, well, you'll open up your inspector, and you'll have to go over to the console button and click on console so that you can see what the code is doing in the what the code is doing on the page. I promise those red things are not my fault. So what we did was we said okay, if we trigger on this voxel, if we go into its proximity and we trigger it to be in the onset or the onstat status, what we want to do is we want to type this string triggered into the console. So we want to log this triggered into the console, which is where you see it here. So it said, okay, you got in this personal space, the proximity was triggered. So we wrote trigger in the console, and then we add, this says add 1 to the value of the variable count. So count goes from 0 to +1. And then in the console, we want you to also log the word count, right? Or we want you to log the value, the value for the variable count, right? And that's where this number happens. So the first time I got in this space, we got a number 1. I moved back, and then we got in this space. Oh no, yeah. And then after, I'm sorry, I'm moving too fast. So we want you to log in the console the value of the variable count. And then we also want you to log in the console the array, okay, of all the emojis. So the emojis are an array. So you can see 0 equals laugh, 1 means, heart eyes, 2 means star eyes, etc., etc., etc. Is everybody getting this? Everybody cool? If y'all are out there, let me get some emojis. Sweet. What up, Low Res? What's up, player? Hey, what's up, K-Bot? That's what's up. All right. So cool. So then we say, okay, so log all of the emojis. I did this because I didn't know which emojis I wanted to use. So what it does is it logs an array of all 59 emojis, and then you can kind of see, or 58 emojis, you can see which one you want to use, right? And then, so then I said, okay, now, if all of this stuff is triggered, we want to add one. We want to log in the console the word trigger. We want to add one to the value of the variable count. And then we also want to log in the console the value of the variable count. And then we also want to log in the console the array of emojis, because at that time I was trying to figure out which emoji I wanted to use, right? And then we want you to go and I didn't have to refer to the root, which is the parcel at this point, but I guess I did. So I could have just said get feature, but parcel.get feature by ID. So this is telling the script to go and get the particular feature that has this ID. And the ID that we added to it was convo bubble. So convo bubble is the bubble that pops up whenever we move into this young man's space. Okay? So what we're saying is, after you've logged all this stuff in the console, if you added one to the variable count, we want you to change the position of convo bubble, change the Y position to 3. Because what's funny is right now, the convo bubble feature, which is a group, I think, is underground. So right now the feature is underground. And so what we're asking it to do is, when we trigger this event by moving into the proximity of this little bitty cat, we're going to move the convo bubble up to on the y-axis to 3. We're going to change the value of the y position to 3. Okay? And then so first I want you guys to see that. So when we move out of this guy's space, right? And then we move back into his space, it doesn't work because I got to do a refresh. Okay, let me refresh real quick. Lordy. Okay. So I'm going to move out of this guy's space, right? And let's see. Okay. So now he's following me, and boom, that's the convo bubble. So if I right click on this, sorry. All right. Did I turn it off? I think so. Okay. So this is the convo bubble. So if I right click on that, you can see right here in the feature ID, this is the convo bubble. So this is what we were referring to when we said the parcel.get feature by ID. We were referring to this boy right here. Okay. So we were telling the convo bubble, hey, convo bubble, which is a group. You can see right here at the top of the feature edit panel, it says edit group. And this is a group of this Vox model and this dialogue, which is actually rich text. Okay. So what we do is we say, if we enter into the proximity of this character, right, or this cat on the floor, what happens is we want you to change the Y position, right? The Y position to 3. And that's what it does. It puts it at Y position 3 so that it's right there and everybody can read it, right? So that's what the text does initially. So you guys can see that I've only approached the guy one time, because you can see down here in this text, it says triggered. So we know that it triggered, right? And then it only has a count of 1. So when we told the log in the console what the value of the variable count was, we know that the variable count right now is 1. And it's also it logged in the console R array. So again, you guys see what we're working with. So when I move out of the space, you see that it's still there. The bubble position is still there. It's been moved to 3. Now, if I want to get rid of that bubble, which is what these other cats over by the staircase are for, if I move into their position, what happens is, yeah. So when I move into their position, it's not working. That's weird. I don't like this. This is why I never do a class on. This is why I never do a class on scripting, because it never works out. Hold on, let me try this refresh again. 1 second, you guys. Okay. Okay, how's that? All right, cool. So you'll notice how, watch. So when I walk up in this guy's space, we'll see the bubble, and then when I walk away, you see how the bubble pops up, and then when I walk away, you see how the bubble gets rid of the bubble? If I walk up close again, the bubble pops up, and then he'll get rid of the bubble again. So when this cat down here between his legs is meant to make the bubble, the convo bubble show up, right? And then this cat over by the staircase, sorry, this cat over here by the staircase, let me use the controller.